I know folks are popping in, but I think we'll get started. Hi, everyone. I'm Sabrina Solba. I'm the Vice President of Highland Park Community Council. Thank you for joining us tonight for our regular monthly community meeting and the first community meeting of 2024. Yes. Yes, it looks like everybody's muted, so that's great. And I want to welcome back our president, Stephanie Welsh, who has been on sabbatical in Italy.
Hey, it's good to be back, but I left it in excellent hands and glad to have Sabrina running things for the time being.
Thanks. Welcome back, Steph. The first announcement I'll toss over to Judy regarding what's going on with SOS.
So it's all good news. The SOS program has received some additional funding. We are alive and kicking. We are waiting for you to call us if you need help, and we're here to help you. Call us at 412-368-6475 or email us at sos@hpccpgh.org, and the program is doing fabulously. Thank you all for participating, and thank you for continuing to participate.
For anyone who isn't familiar, the SOS program is a tech support program that's run by neighbors in Highland Park, for neighbors in Highland Park. And we've been running it since last March. We had some grant funding we're now doing some funding through the HPCC, and we also got some additional funding from Deb Gross's office, and we intend to continue the program through the year. So, and thank you, Judy and Jim, who've been doing a great job facilitating that. And other announcements, if you aren't familiar, haven't seen the announcements, we have a calendar this year for 2024 populated with photos from the neighborhood taken by your neighbors. It's still available. We still have copies left. I think they've sold out at Bryant Street Market, but you can email us at hpccpgh@gmail.com if you would like to get your hands on one of these limited edition 2024 calendars. It also has all the dates for Highland Park regular yearly events in it, so you can find the yard sale date, for example, in the calendar. So I wanted to remind everybody about that. Still time to get a new calendar for 2024. Before we get into the rest of the announcements from other guests, is that you may recall or you may have seen the changes to Reservoir Drive that were instituted last fall, the posts that are installed up there. That was done in the fall, and it's now time to changes. And they are going to be doing a few more things in 2024. In the spring, they will be doing some ADA work that they weren't able to complete in the fall. But all feedback is welcome. And I'm going to drop a link in the chat to the Engage page. And that's where they're asking at this time for feedback to be submitted. Okay. Any other HPCC announcements I'm forgetting? Zone 5. Do we have our Zone 5 rep here?
Yep, I'm on here.
All right, you have the floor. Welcome. Thank you.
Hi, nice to be here. So I was going over burglary on Bryant Street. That was scene was processed. So far, no new updates on that. There's also 2 residential burglaries, one in November, one in December. Those scenes were processed as well, both on Euclid. And then there was multiple car break-ins. Seems that Toyota Priuses or Toyota make vehicles are specifically targeted. There was 3 of them on January 16th, the evening. It looks like specifically targeted in the general area. As a result, We saturated that area for the past 2 nights. There hasn't been any subsequent vehicle break-ins reported, but definitely be aware that their, vehicles are being targeted. So just be aware, lock your valuables up, keep anything out of view, any valuables out of view, lock your cars. For some reason, the Toyotas specifically were targeted. So just take extra precaution if you have a Toyota. If you have any video, just let us know at Zone 5, so we can continue to follow up on that investigation. Have extra patrols in the area as well. Any other questions?
Are the Priuses being targeted for the catalytic converters or being broken into?
Broken into, and it seems like they're breaking the rear passenger side, the small little triangle windows, specifically breaking those out to then unlock the vehicle to then just go through the vehicles and try and take all the vehicles that were targeted. There was no high value items reported stolen in any of them, and all of them it was like a pocket knife, change, and like a wallet. But as of now, no like high value items taken, but just be aware that for some reason, unknown why the Toyota specifically were targeted, but they, for some reason, all the vehicles on the night of the 16th were older model Toyota vehicles. They all had this small triangular window at the rear passenger side that were busted out.
There was also a break-in at Tasadoro on Highland. That was very similar to the Bryant Street Market break-in.
Yeah, where they threw where someone threw a brick through the
Yeah,
glass.
yeah.
They limited video, but they did process the scene, so hopefully they can get a print. But as of this point, no nothing new other than that the scenes have been processed at this point.
Okay. When will the new system for pushing out crime reports be live for residents? We used to get
So
email
they
and updates.
yeah, the old system that's through the city, they put a request in. They just got the authorization to get the free system that's available through RMS to be utilized. And I went to, as of last week, the request was put in. So hopefully it's a matter of days at this point. I will follow up and hopefully get hopefully, but it shouldn't be too much longer because they did get the authorization to get it turned on. And then at that point, it's just a free website that is a public access website. And then it is available online for the surrounding areas now, because Penn Hill, every other department that utilizes RMS, has access to that website. And then it's just the same thing basically that the city system put out, but it's just something that the RMS feature offered and just recently got turned on. So hopefully it should be soon.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions anyone would like to ask? There's a question in the chat. Is this Highland Park, or is there similar vandalism being seen in the surrounding neighborhoods?
We've seen other break-ins in other areas, but the ones in Highland Park were particular. They had the distinct MO of the specific vehicles. Number of break-ins in Morningside and Stanton Heights, but those just appear to be people trying to unlock, checking door handles for unlocked vehicles and going through those.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move on to the main conversation for this evening. So we have with us Jen Thorpe. She'll be giving a presentation about what the zoo will be doing in 2024.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm going to share my screen and then I will be able to kind of go through my slides. But as I'm doing that, I'll introduce myself. My name is Jen Thorpe. I started at the zoo as the VP of Education and Community Engagement in April of this last year. But I have worked within zoos for the last 15 years or so. I've worked at the San Antonio Zoo, and then most recently I worked at the sorry, I'm processing this. There we go. At the National Aviary for a few years as their curator of education. I am not a Pittsburgh native. I'm from originally northern New Jersey, but then found my way to Ohio to go to Ohio State and then San Antonio, Texas for grad school. But I've been living in Oakmont for the last 7 years, and I think I'm in Pittsburgh for the long haul because it's pretty great city. So I did want to make sure that I put up my contact information up here so that if you have any additional questions about anything that I'm talking about today or anything else, please don't hesitate to reach out. So we have 2 different emails that you can reach us at. So the first one, learn@pittsburghzoo.org, is for any questions about any of our education programs that we have coming up. If you're interested in booking or learning about anything that I'm talking about, that's what you can reach out to. And then we have a new email address for community inquiries. So this is community@pittsburghzoo.org. This will come directly to me and my community team so we can answer any questions that you may have. We also have a general info. If you have questions about our hours or anything, that would be to the general info, but feel free to reach out if you have any questions. So I wanted to kind of go over some highlights from this year. Just to kind of celebrate some of the successes, because January is the time that we kind of look back and feel really good about everything that we've accomplished. So we actually had the birth of 2 Amur leopard cubs, Mila and Grover. This was a big deal because Amur leopards are critically endangered. There's less than 200 of them in the wild. So we were really grateful to have a successful breeding of our adults. We also had 2 critically endangered Western lowland gorillas who were born, Bo and Charlotte. They turn 1 in the next few months, and they have been truly a joy. And we did also get to celebrate with our community in April to celebrate gorillas. You may remember that we had Electronics April, where if you brought in a small handheld electronic device, you did come into the zoo for free in all of April. So we actually managed to collect 12,938 devices, which were diverted from landfills, which was really exciting. We were able to ship them. This is just a small fraction of what we were able to ship to our partners in EcoCell, and they have a really fantastic network of folks who they can kind of salvage the parts and the minerals that are in these and recycle them sustainably. And all of the funds that they raise went directly towards the Gorilla Safe program, which does conservation for in situ, diverts money for in situ gorilla conservation. And in fact, this was such an overwhelming response from the city of Pittsburgh, and we're so grateful because we raised just under half of the entire nationwide donations for the entire country. So this is a project that many different zoos participate in, but Pittsburgh really showed up for gorillas. So that was pretty fantastic. So we also have our 2 giraffes. Our giraffe Lewis he came in 3rd for this contest for best yinzer, but we all know in our hearts he's our best yinzer by the city paper, Pittsburgh City Paper. But we did also get to do some really great collaborations, even though Lewis wasn't the best, to honor all of our great neighbors in Pittsburgh through our partnership with the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank. We were able to raise a little over 2,000 pounds of food on the 27th of December, which was really exciting. Unfortunately, the weather didn't hold out for us, and we're investigating doing this again in the nicer weather. Anyone who came and donated a non-perishable food item got free admission to the zoo. So we were really grateful for the community coming out for that. We also, you may not know, the Pittsburgh Zoo does have a secondary campus in Somerset County in Fairhope. And this is the International Conservation Center. This is something that the zoo purchased about 15 years ago, and we're really starting to activate as an education site. So we were really excited to start offering guided wagon tours and elephant encounters out there. We were able to open to the public to over 3,000 guests since we started these programs. And we're really looking to continue to increase the opportunities for guests to come out and get out to the ICC and visit the elephants and other species that we're going to have out there. And then you may have seen recently on our social media, this is one of the ones that is most active right now, our Sea Turtle Second Chance program. We've been participating in this for over a decade and have successfully rehabilitated and released 91 sea turtles since we started working with this program. We now currently have 6 turtles that we're caring for. So if you have a chance to come visit the zoo, they are visible in the windows out by the aquarium. And it's really, really neat to see all the aquarists who are doing the work out there, rehabilitating these cold stunned sea turtles. We have 6 of them, like I said, wild green and Kempley sea turtles right now. I also just wanted to provide a quick snapshot of some of the numbers. We don't have our, we don't have our financials compiled yet, just because it is January and we're still working on those, but we do have our attendance numbers. So we did see just over 936,000 folks attend. And last year we had about 10% of our visitorship come in on a variety of different free programs. This year that's up to 13%, so 117,000. That's a number that we're really proud of. And then we also recognizing that not everyone can come in on a free program, but that there are other existing programs to help defer the costs of attending the zoo. We've started to participate in the Museums for All program, where it is a $3 admission for up to 4 people coming in. If you show an EBT, SNAP, or access card with your identification, and that we've seen an incredible response to. This is something we just launched in April, and since then it's been about 6 to 7% of our monthly attendance every month is coming in on that discount program. So that's been really exciting for us to make sure that that cost of admission is not a barrier to our community members. And then because I'm over education, I have to throw out some fun education snapshots. So we had just under 28,000 students come to visit us on a field trip last year. We went to over 200 outreach locations on our Zoomobile program, schools and organizations. And then for anyone who attended the zoo and wanted to get like one of our up close animal shows or animal presentations, we saw about 45,000 people attend those shows. So I'm pretty proud of those numbers. My team did a lot. And I did also want to recognize the work of RAD at the zoo. We are really, really grateful to be an asset for the Regional Asset District, and they are huge benefactors of the zoo. So I wanted to give them a shout out as well. Any questions about kind of what happened this past year before I go into what's coming up next? Okay, so I wanted to just give a quick overview of some of the upcoming programs and events, and then after this, I'll open it up for discussion because I know we have some probably lingering questions from last time, and I want to leave enough space for everyone to ask those questions. So I want to just give a highlight of some of our education offerings. Our overnight programs are back, so if you are involved in a scout group or any other type of organized group and you're interested in overnight programs, those are available on the website. And I'm going to share these slides. If Sabrina, if they haven't come through already, I'll find a different way to share them with you so that everyone can kind of go through and click these if you're interested in referencing back. We are also going to have some member only dates that are coming up. So those will be available on the website. We also have our Wildlife Academy classes. We have numerous ones of those scheduled already and up available on the website. These are things for families, young children, as well as adults. We have some adult programs, including our adult day camp, which is a behind the scenes tour, doing all the cool behind the scenes things that all the summer camp kids do, but you get to do them at a much higher level. And then tram tours as well for seniors or anyone who, for mobility challenges, you can actually take the tram and ride around the zoo in comfort. We have a variety of teen offerings. We really increased the focus on aquarium programs based on a lot of the feedback from the teens who have participated recently. So we have keeper conversations. These are where you get to actually talk with a lot of the keepers at the zoo. Pizza with the keepers, very similar. The kids will come and have lunch with our keepers and get to ask them any of the questions they have about their careers or anything they're curious about. And then we have junior conservationist and zoo U programs. Those are for high school students of different age groups. And the age group and information on each of the programs are available on our website. But again, really focusing on the aquarium side of things. We've been focusing so much on the zoo the last few years, and our new teen specialist actually comes to us from San Diego, and she was responsible for ocean, a lot of ocean teen programs. So we're leaning into her expertise here. And then this is probably on everyone's mind right now, at least based on all of the calls that we've been getting. Summer camp registration is happening at the very beginning of February. Our member presale opens on the 7th of February with a few days presale, and then it opens to the general public, I believe, on the 10th. So please mark your calendars if you have kids who you want to put into camp. And I did want to note too, we will have information on the website in the next week or so about this. But we again recognize that cost can be a barrier to attendance. So this year we're launching a campership program, and this is a camp scholarship program. So we have foundation partners and members of the general public who are donating money towards this fund to allow folks who maybe couldn't afford to come to camp the opportunity to do so without having any like stigma attached. So for example, it's going to cover everything that the child would need. They're not going to get anything their experience is not going to be different at camp because we're offering these for many other students as well coming to camp. So it'll cover registration, before and after care, a daily lunch provided by the zoo, and then a transportation stipend of $50 to the legal guardian, just to defer the cost of busing or anything else that they may need to get their child to the zoo. So information on how to donate to that scholarship or how to utilize that and apply for it will be available on our website in the next few weeks. We have a few events coming up that are always popular. So our Animal Instincts, this is our Valentine's Day dinner. Information is available on our website on that. And then we also have breakfast with the Easter Bunny in March. So I just wanted to give a heads up that those are coming up. So looking ahead to some of the newer things that we can expect, we are going to be having a butterfly house this year. We're really excited about it. We're currently finishing up the design of this. So this will be up in the area called Top of the World, which is up above the Jungle Odyssey area. It'll activate that space that's past where the zip lines were. So that'll be a really exciting thing. It'll be fairly low cost. I don't have the final details, but I think we're looking at something like $2 to visit it, and it's going to have native butterflies. We'll have a lot of education opportunities around in there as well. And then we're also on the community side launching a We're All Ears campaign, which is a community listening campaign launching in the spring. So we're going to spend about 9 months conducting listening sessions across Pittsburgh and Western PA. My team and I are kind of preparing this now. And this is really the goal for us, is to identify opportunities for connection, partnership, collaboration with different communities and community stakeholders to learn how we can be a really good community partner and a resource in the community. So it's one of the reasons I was really grateful to be able to speak with you all today to start off on a strong note. So we're really excited about that. All right, so I just wanted to flash my info up here again if you wanted to reach out. But I know that there are more questions likely than what I have presented here. I've just presented a very brief overview, kind of what's coming up at the zoo. But I wanted to make sure I leave space for all of your questions, comments, and concerns. So I'm going to open it up for questions. Sabrina, I'm not sure how you want to handle this, but I'm sticking around.
Yes, thank you. I think, fingers crossed, I have removed the person and turned on the waiting room and to keep them out. So I'm going to let everybody unmute themselves with that in mind. And if we run into more problems, we'll try to handle it. Let me also unspotlight you so that we can share. But if anyone would like to go ahead and ask any questions in the meantime while I figure out how to do this. There we go.
What ages is the summer camp for?
Sure. So we have summer camp programs for really young kiddos. So summer camp days for, 2-year-olds and their parents to come for a story time, all the way up to 14.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay. In the past, Highland Park community residents were able to access the zoo using walking through the administrative offices. Not that we were trying to not pay or
Right, no.
but that it was a convenience for us to be able to walk down the hill rather than getting in our car from Highland Park and driving, whatever, a quarter of a mile and parking and then walking in. Is that still a possibility?
Yep, it's still a possibility, and that's not going away anytime soon. I know that had been brought up last time, and there was questions about it because Jeremy wasn't entirely familiar with that program. But yes, it is still there. It's still happening. You're welcome to come into the education center. You'll just have to come up to our receptionist to show your membership card or purchase a ticket. But yep, that's not going away.
Okay, and is the door open, or is there a way to actually access it?
So our exterior door is open, but the foyer doors are closed or are locked, but there's a buzzer. So you can click the intercom button and then our team will buzz you up and you'll just come up through the elevator. There's a sign. Yep.
Thank you.
And that is manned from
one more
8:30
thing.
until 5:30.
Okay.
So you should be able to get in from them.
Just one more comment. The zoo lights for Christmas are amazing. It is just, it's such a thrill to, first of all, for residents to drive up One Wild Place. Our grandkids love driving up there, but we hope that continues. Zoo lights is an amazing thing for the entire city, is certainly for Highland Park also.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to share that with Joe Williams and our grounds team, because believe it or not, they make the majority, like all of the large lights, the figure lights, they make all of those in-house. And they spend about 6 months every year kind of hand building those based on different features in Pittsburgh and partnerships that we have. So he's going to be thrilled when I share that with him. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
David, would you like to ask a question?
Oh, yeah. Related to that same area of the road, as you drive down through the zoo or up the hill, you pass a bunch of chain link fences and big sheets of canvas to kind of cover up the fence. It's kind of ugly and neglected. So that the visual aspect of driving through the zoo, parts of it are very pretty, but lots of it are just sort of junky, like everybody forgot about it. Are there any plans to improve that visual aspect, driving up Serpentine Road?
Which area is this?
Well, if
Or
you're
kind of generally all of it.
if you're going down a hill, it'll be right after you pass the little parking lot, for administrative entrance and stuff like that.
Okay. Yep. That's the Pittsburgh Water folks are doing some construction there, so that might be what you're referencing. They're
Before
hoping
the construction, it's
not there. But to answer your question, yes. So we have kind of done a full walkthrough of our entire facility and identified a lot of different areas that need to be updated. There's been a lot of deferred maintenance over the last decade or so that I'm sure it's on the list, but I will actually follow up with our maintenance team. And Sabrina, I can follow up and share that information back out with you. Let me just make a note, because they will have a little bit more information about kind of where that is in the timeline to address. But I can share that back with you. Let me just make a quick note here. Any other questions?
Hi, I was interested in your Somerset County edition. Could you expand a little bit about what's there and what's happening?
Yeah, so our Somerset location on the International Conservation Center, the zoo purchased that property. It's about 1,000 acres of previous farmland, and actually had been also a canned like elk hunting lodge for a while. So we purchased that property, like I said, about I want to say 2004, whatever 15 years ago is. I'm not great at math at this time of the day. But anyway, so they purchased it, and we have 5 elephants out there right now. Our bull elephant Jackson, as well as 3 adult females, and our little young one Suni. So if you see anything on our social media about Suni the elephant, that's where she is. They have just over 30 acres of pasture land to graze on. We also use a variety of that area for a lot of different education programs. So we are building that area up for education in public access slowly. So we're planning on offering summer camps out there this summer to test it out. But we offer wagon rides, we do community festivals, a variety of other things out there. We also use some of the land to grow hay for both our elephants and the animals at the Pittsburgh Zoo as well. So we have about 300 acres of fields that we hay, and about 150 of that acreage is wetlands, vernal pools, and forest that is on a conservation easement by the Western PA Conservancy. So we're working with them to understand some of the biodiversity that we have out there, so we can make sure that we're the best stewards of that land that we can be. In addition to other species, though, we are kind of evaluating what the future of that looks like. We do have some reindeer who just arrived at the zoo and are in, kind of our hospital, just getting checked out to make sure that they're healthy before they go out to the ICC. And we also have a Bactrian camel male out there, and we're looking for a female as well. So some more species will be out there, but it's never going to be like if you're thinking like San Diego Safari or any of those safari parks, we're not looking to have a ton of species out there. We're being really selective with the ones that we have to make sure that we have maximizing the conservation value of that space and the populations who are out there.
Thank you.
I have a question. A few years ago, there was a great deal of discussion about a new signage that would be in that green space as you make the left turn at the traffic light onto One Hill Road. And they talked a great deal about installing the sign and what it was going to look like. Nothing has ever happened. Is that still in the works, or is there going to be, some sort of better indication of how to access the zoo, where the zoo is, and that in fact, here we are at the Pittsburgh Zoo?
Let me find out for you. I'm not sure offhand, and I don't want to give you false information. So that's another one that I'll ask Brad about and kind of see where that project went. And then I'll report out to Sabrina and she can get you that information.
I have a similar question about things that probably fall out of the purview of your scope in education, but more along the lines of the grounds of the zoo. Based on some recent publications that have come out, like this week's issue of City Paper and the last episode that I received of the Highland Park Community Council newsletter, it seems like there's a longstanding discussion between some representatives of Highland Park and the zoo about what to do with the parking lot and the space that kind of backs up to the parking lot. Are you in a position to share the zoo's position or stance on what the next steps are for that?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to that. So we've actually had conversations, since our previous meeting. We reached out to Sabrina and David and Stephanie and some of the folks were able to come and give a presentation to me, Jeremy, as well as a member of our board, Morton Stanfield. He's one of our on the executive committee, a little bit more about the project. A little bit more background about the leadership team at the zoo. So Jeremy started about 2 years ago. I started about 9 months ago now, whatever April was. So we're all fairly new, most of us there. So it was really helpful to kind of get more background information on the project. And there's a lot there that aligns with what our vision for that space would be, because, we're definitely in agreement, like straight asphalt is not the best way to go, right? So I think we're kind of at the point where Morton is taking some of his thoughts to the executive committee at the board, which is meeting, I believe, next month. I'd have to double check on the date. And then we're going to continue to have discussions, because I think there's a lot that we agree on what that space should look like. It's just kind of figuring out what the path forward would be. But I think we'd be able to come to an agreement on what that space should look like. I wish I could give you more details, but those conversations are ongoing. But I appreciate you asking about it.
Yeah, thank you for the quick update. I was not at the last meeting, and so I wasn't privy to all of that. So thank you to you and to the other people on the committee that are having those conversations. As someone whose home backs up to that space, I literally think about that every day that I look out my back window. So,
yeah.
So thank you very much to everyone who's involved. And if I will stay attentive, as will my husband, for any information about how we could be helpful in the process.
Great, thank you. And Sabrina and David, I don't know if you wanted to speak a little bit to that as well. I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but I know you were involved too, if you have anything else to share.
Yeah, I think briefly, like there is a much larger conversation happening about Hef's Run in general and access, really access from Morningside and Highland Park through the river. I mean, the zoo sits on Highland Park. Like it is parkland. And so there's been conversation about not only the parking lot, but if your property abuts like the back of Hef's Run, you probably see like that big gully, which has a lot of dumping issues right now and very poor trail access, and therefore like issues with drainage and things like that. So I think it's a long trajectory, sort of visionary problem for Highland Park and Morningside and the zoo and the city. But there's some movement happening. And so I think there's a couple different ways to get involved, and maybe I could just drop the Highland Park HPCC email address in the chat. And Laura, if you wanna connect to those conversations, particularly around trail or the stuff that's higher up, that might be interesting to get you connected to some of the folks who are working on that issue.
I'll just add a follow up on both Jen and Sabrina's comments there. I mean, in the spirit of the conversations that we're referencing are really in the spirit of helping the zoo be the things that it wants to be, and that are in its own mission and master plans. The state of Hef's Run right now is atrocious. That doesn't help the zoo, doesn't help the zoo visitors, doesn't help the city of Pittsburgh. The other key partner in this, of course, is the city and the mayor's administration. So I think we tend to think that the ultimate answer here is zoo and city come together with neighborhoods and the Parks Conservancy and other really key players, and begin to tell the story that this is a regional institution that really is not sending the right message right now to anyone. And so we think there's a brighter day ahead, but only if we all come together and work as a team.
Yeah, and that's why I'm really grateful to be able to be part of this, community meeting and continue to keep those, lines of dialogue open, because I think historically it's not been, we've not been rowing in the same direction. And I think this is an opportunity for us to kind of find our commonality and figure out what can we accomplish together, and what is going to be the resources that we need to get to accomplish it, so that we can kind of create some goals and find a solution, right? Because the zoo's not in love with the solution that exists either. I can tell you that. So yeah, I'm very encouraged by the conversations that we've had and the direction that we're moving.
Thank you again.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to express appreciation. Thanks, Jen, very much for coming and, giving us insight into all the different programming that's happening at the zoo. It's so easy, like when two organizations or two groups are in their own backyard, we have so many different organizations coming to talk to these meetings, and often we only end up getting people when there's something to be approved or a decision to be made. But it's really good to have these moments where we're just talking about what all we're doing and offering up opportunities for feedback and sharing between groups. So I really appreciate your presence.
Yeah, it's truly been my pleasure. I really appreciated being invited, and hopefully this is not the last time. I'd love to kind of give these, 2 times a year maybe, and kind of tell you what's coming up, because you guys are our neighbors, right? And that is an important relationship that I think we can be better about recognizing, for sure. And please do keep the lines of communication open to me too. Please utilize that community email. Please reach out to us if you have any questions, comments, concerns. That's my job, right? To be able to help you understand what the zoo is doing and help the zoo understand what our community needs. So I really appreciate the opportunity and hope to see y'all again soon.
Great, thank you. We actually have an abbreviated schedule because PWSA was not able to join us this evening to talk about the microfiltration plant. But we already have another PWSA topic scheduled for February. So in February, it's going to be all PWSA all the time, because I think there's 3 different things: the microfiltration plants, the update on the pump house, I think the pump house down by the river, and then there's the pump house up by the second reservoir, which dovetails into conversations about Hess Run and trail access. And so it will be those 3 things at the February meeting, I believe. So if any of those are of interest to you, make sure to mark your calendars for the 3rd Thursday in February. Does anyone have anything else that they'd like to bring up? So we do have a little bit of extra time if there is a topic anyone would like to bring to the floor. I see another comment in the chat about interest in Hess Run. If anybody else is interested in the Hess Run-ish conversation, please let us know. I want to say also that, oh, go ahead. I see a hand up, MC.
Sabrina, I'm wondering if there's any word on the comfort station for the Pittsburgh Regional Transit.
In regards to being the layover spot?
Yeah.
There's no word as of yet.
Was there any conversation with anybody in the HPCC about the lengthened bus layover station on Mellon Terrace?
We have been talking to them. So for anyone who's not aware of the issue, right now there's a bus layover station across from the tennis courts in the Flynn Park, I think it's called. And for a while, and there has been a plan, agreed upon plan really between PRT and the neighborhood to eventually, when Mellon Terrace opens and there's a, that work's all finished over there, that the bus layover would shift to there. At the time those conversations were happening, there was going to be an actual building there as part of the BRT process. Some of that funding has changed and shifted, but we're still trying to push to move that layover location. And one of the issues is access to comfort station for the drivers who end up, having to be there for a longer amount of time. I am aware that they did paint in lanes for buses on Mellon Terrace, but I don't think they've shifted anything. And we've been engaging with them in conversations and also talking to a couple of the other local officials to try to get movement on that, because we'd like to see that decoupled from the longer term plan of doing some fancier building, and at least get the route shift so that the buses are no longer idling next to the park on that.
So is there any way that those conversations can be communicated to the community about when they're happening, what the agendas are, who's involved in the conversations?
Yeah, we have had them here. So we've had PRT here in the fall when they made the route changes, and it was discussed here.
Okay.
But we can certainly be sharing, giving regular updates on that. And if you have, if there are individuals who want to get involved or provide feedback, you can certainly email HPCC, and we can, if there's room to, if there's like a moment for additional community feedback, there's always the ability to pass on directly feedback from residents to PRT and to like Deb Gross's office or Lindsay Williams' office to sort of say like, hey, people care about this issue. So, and you can do that directly, or if we can help facilitate that too. But maybe there's a larger meeting that could happen with residents as well. There's a bit of a process in getting the routes changed, and we're trying to get clarity on if that could happen independent of the larger conversation building that was originally talked about being built there, that isn't going to be built this time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Nancy.
May I just ask a general question here? Are you considering restarting in-person meetings, or are we going to, or at least hybrid meetings, or are we going to continue to be Zoom forever?
I sense that you have an opinion on this. you want to be back in person. So what we've talked about it, and one of the things is we have seen increased participation on the Zoom meetings, and it is sometimes easier to get presentations via Zoom. Obviously, there are some downsides, like it's much harder for someone to come into the building and randomly start yelling things in an in-person meeting. And I thought we were past that after 2 years of pandemic Zoom meetings, but here we are tonight experiencing the same thing. And there's also no substitute for being co-located and, seeing people. The last year we did the in-person meeting in the summer in nice weather outside at the parklet. And I believe the plan is to always at least try to do one of those kinds of meetings. And we don't have a plan right at the moment to restart in person in the building where you have to go to a specific location. But happy to hear feedback and thoughts on it. We'll be kind of led where access and participation leads us.
Yeah, I can jump in, Nancy. We did talk to the coordinator at St. Andrews about doing mixed meetings, hybrid meetings. And it turns out that like technologically, that's really challenging. Like they don't have the equipment and neither do we to do both good in-person meeting and also do like the video and the audio for remote participants to be able to see well and hear well and participate. So the technology was also, so we have talked about it with St. Andrews and got kind of stumped on how to do it effectively.
Any other?
Yeah, so maybe we could use a tech to work this out. What do you think?
Possibly. I think part of it is also we'd have to purchase some equipment. But I mean, that's a possibility. Sure.
Okay, we're on it. Thank you.
Hi, is there any update on the shooting range?
Yes, no. Brief update. There was a bit of a thought that the shooting range could be bundled into the emergency services training facility conversation that has been talked about for the old VA site. And there was originally funding in that for the budget that was passed at the end of last year. That funding was repurposed somewhere else and removed from that. And that is leading to a reignite of that conversation. Is there a way to do that, to get the firing range addressed that is decoupled from what probably is a decade-long initiative to like figure out if we're going to use that, if that VA site would be used for that purpose, and get a plan together and then actually get the funding for it and then build it. That's a very long-term vision, but it could include a replacement firing range. And so now the question is there something shorter term? Or one of the questions is there potentially something shorter term that could be an alternative? So that is from my perspective, at least my understanding of what's currently happening. I don't know if anyone else, David or Stephanie, if you want to chime in with anything additional.
Well, I think it seems to me there's two stories out there. One is that the administration placed $850,000 in the capital budget for a training facility. But Jake Pollack, the deputy mayor, was clear in saying that was not the full public safety campus. That was a single building to include an indoor firing range, and that money was in the budget up until apparently the last few days before the budget was passed, and the council president took that money out of the budget, diverted it to something else. We're not sure what. And it happened so late in the process that the administration didn't want to disrupt the entire budget by over that single item. But Jake Pollack said that the administration is looking for ways to get that funding back in. That money was just for master planning and initial design of a single indoor training facility. So it It wasn't this full Peduto public safety, Department of Public Works campus up on the VA site. It was, a single building location to be determined as part of this initial study. So I think we're still getting 2 stories on this, and we need to run this to ground and support the administration and their commitment apparently to get a process going to build a building that includes an indoor firing range.
We actually do have Kelsey Sheridan from Councilperson Gross's office, so I just want to offer, I don't know if Kelsey, if you have anything to add to this conversation.
Hi there. Yes. I unfortunately I wasn't briefed super well. So I will just say that I know we are working with the administration, and I believe there was 400,000 set aside that I think James, our chief of staff, mentioned. He spoke with you about, Sabrina. Does that sound right?
Yeah, my understanding is that's from the original money set aside to address the firing range issue, and some portion of that original money was spent on the study that was done previously, but there is about 400,000 left. And he mentioned that that your office felt that maybe that alone could get a retrofitted building, and that would be a fast solution to this problem, or a faster.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the latest update too, but I'll certainly, bring all this back to our chief of staff and Councilman Gross, and then, we can make sure to touch base with you as well. But yeah, as far as I know, still working through it with the administration. But yeah. Thanks.
One of the things I want to mention is we've had there are big conversations happening in the neighborhood about the firing range, Reservoir Drive, Paths Run, the Parklet. These are all places where I know a lot of you are either directly affected, or you've seen the vision shift and change. HPCC is really trying to help to shepherd these conversations between residents and the decision makers in the city. And we're going to try to revitalize our committees this year. And so you'll be seeing some calls later and very shortly about getting involved with Parks Committee or helping with some of these other issues. So if any of these are things that you want to be more involved in and you're not already, I know many of you already are in those conversations or having those conversations. I just want to encourage you to watch out for invitations to join committees in the neighborhood to help be part of just moving the neighborhood forward and setting the vision for these different aspects of Highland Park and our surrounding area. Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up? Because now I think we're 3 minutes out from our end time. All right, well then I declare this meeting complete. Please enjoy the rest of your January 2024, and we'll see you all in February.